Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Mixler Physique up here with a video to assess my recent fat loss. That was actually meant to be the fat loss for my men's physique debut. But as most people know, my participation in the competition was cancelled and my competition plans are postponed to next year. So I'm going to make my debut in March or April next year. Before we start off, give this video a like by pressing the thumbs up button below. Subscribe to my channel so more people can get this content and so more people can, for example, see my informational videos. And of course follow my journey towards the men's physique stage next year. So I think most people who watched this video here got to know that my competition was cancelled because of personal reasons and competitive reasons, and simply because my final product would be so much better in half a year or in the future, and also because of health reasons and simply because I wasn't ready. The reality was kind of that it would be 3 weeks with insanity dieting, with driving my thyroid hormone and my metabolism to insanity, with extreme crash dieting and extreme amounts of cardio, which would most likely really impair my muscle mass. And in addition, I would likely not get the result I actually wanted, or the result that the club really wanted. And that's kind of life when I'm so new to both hypertrophy training and to this sport. It's actually only a year ago since I entered Calibre. And even though I've been lifting for many years, I'm actually very new to real hypertrophy training, or to training to gain mass or sculpting the body. So it's really understandable, and I need to just use time and become better and better. Of course, I could have gone there and decided to just compete and just get my debut, but it wouldn't be so great to just go there and get the 7th place in an arbitrary competition. If I first go there, I want to go there to actually compete, to actually be one of the best, to actually be a candidate for being a champion. And for that, you need both a way leaner physique than I could bring on the peak, and way more charisma than I could ever deliver for 11th September. So I just need to use this to trigger myself to do even better in March and deliver a real package of a beach physique then. But this video is going to be all about assessing my recent fat loss, and of course some highlights from the leg day I actually did this night. So it's not about the future, it's about what happened the past 4 to 5 months. I've actually executed quite a slow fat loss, a very slow but constant, and I have definitely improved my physique week to week and month to month. I have definitely gone down in body fat quite with a constant rate, and I started at quite precisely around 15%. Very typical look for the delusional fitness guy who thinks he needs to lose only a few kilograms of fat, looking pretty freaking good for Instagram, but really needing to lose a lot of body fat to get to a real shape. First get to a real beach shape, and then to get to a men's physique shape, which I never actually came to. Final result of the shredding was maybe a conservative 10% body fat, and I actually came to the point where my ab separation was really good, and which can be classified as a real model look. No matter what, I need to be really satisfied with that. And my total weight loss was around 5 kilograms. And it was definitely 5 kilograms loss. Actually, I like to watch this more as a body recomposition period, because I'm sure I actually gained muscle mass in this period. I actually improved several of my lifts. I increased my face pulse and my biceps curls, and several of my isolation lifts. I actually think a calorie deficit, or a moderate calorie deficit, very applicable for sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, or a typical bodybuilding hypertrophy for puffy big muscles. I know your training performance is very impaired in a calorie deficit, and it usually is. It should be. Otherwise, you are not maximizing your fat loss, and it's also not very good for myofibril hypertrophy, or kind of the executive hypertrophy, where you kind of use the muscles for the dense look, but very egoistic about my standpoint about building muscle in a calorie deficit. You can definitely sculpt muscles and improve them through real hypertrophy training with 40 to 50 seconds with time and attention. But I didn't improve all lifts. The calorie deficit will of course impair some of the big lifts, and for example my squat and my dumbbell bench press, where I kept my technique quite constant. I had a slight downhill curve, so as you have less body fat around your muscles and your joints, you will be weaker in the big lifts because of intermuscular coordination and because of changes in body architecture regarding moment and levers. But I'm still freaking happy with what I executed regarding my strength gains and muscle gains. I'm very sure I actually had really good recovery from session to session. A very big aim on this fat loss diet was to actually manage to train really hard. No excuses here. Absolutely no excuses to lower my effort on training. Every time I was in the gym, I was determined to only go harder and harder, and only put on more muscle tension and activate my muscles more and more. And therefore, I maybe set myself up for depending more to always getting in protein and nutrients, because those are actually the main components, both for repairing brain neural pathways and for actually repairing muscle damage and setting up the muscle protein synthesis after a workout, and by that recovering the muscles from workout to workout. I also did a lot of cardio, maybe a little bit too much. I really had an addiction to do both basketball and boxing, and I also liked to do some steps on the treadmill and always just go there and plan my Instagram captions and my YouTube videos and answer my DMs, or for example edit my videos. But I maybe think this excessive amount of cardio, I think it could maybe be 10 hours a week, including all my walking at the treadmill. And I maybe think my metabolism, my basal metabolism, or my thyroid hormone activity was maybe impeded. I think that was the part of my physiology I managed the least. I really need to learn from that and then actually manage that better the next time. Just not constantly drain the body by extreme cardio amounts and always drop carbs, because that is really detrimental for an active thyroid and an active metabolism. Carbs actually have a very significant effect in keeping up a high energy expenditure, and I think that really dropped quite a bit. I dropped my carbs from maybe 500 in the start of the diet to around 300 or slightly below 300, and I think that was the only way I suffered, and I think my dieting suffered the most from that. As I said, I'm very satisfied with how my body recovered and my muscle retention rate, and how my body actually managed to hold on muscle mass and actually improve certain body parts. And I'm also very satisfied with how my life quality actually wasn't impaired more, and I am very satisfied with most of my hunger hormones, and I actually didn't suffer a real lot from getting to these levels of shreds. And by that I will thank that I am actually for the first time really managed to control my insulin levels, because that has really been a key for keeping my hunger at a good place, for keeping me away from hunger, and actually managed to diet very comfortably. I have also been at a very consistent eating schedule with quite a short time span between my meals, and by that my ghrelin has also been in very good control eating meals every 2.5 hours approximately. Every 2 or 3 hours has really been a good recipe for keeping me satiated. I also think that I dropped my carbs so much and always lived below my carb homeostasis was actually very important for keeping my insulin at good levels. Always focusing on getting enough nutrients and protein and a good chunk of healthy fats. So my insulin and my ghrelin was really under good control. On the other side, I think my leptin suffered a little bit. Even though I ate lots of food volume and quite low calorie dense foods and lots of fiber, I actually didn't have a digestion system to effectively metabolize extreme amounts of carbs and fiber, at least the amounts I ate before my diet or my fat loss. And by that, I think my leptin levels were not optimal. I've actually read more about the hormone, and it's actually very central in when you drop calories and drop carbs. A hormone I'm very satisfied with, I've actually managed to control, is cortisol, because that has really been a devil of a hormone that has often destroyed my training. I also think it might ruin your training. I think my testosterone levels were also quite good. I actually think my testosterone was never really impaired. I kept it at a very good level. I will even claim I actually improved it and that it actually had a steady increase. From that I actually got leaner and leaner and actually ate a high nutrient, balanced diet of both carbs and fats and kept a steady and consistent training routine with lots of hard training with sets to failure. Always lots of muscle tension over muscle damage, and that is really important for testosterone level. I will also say I'm satisfied with my fat burn rate. Even though my weight loss wasn't so fast, it was necessary to keep at that pace because I actually wanted to keep on my muscle mass and for actually managing to train really hard and to actually manage to improve some of my body parts in this fat loss period based on visual variables and from the look and from filming myself week to week and in periods day to day. I actually saw quite constant visual improvements and a very steady decline of maybe around half a kilogram of body fat a week on the active dieting weeks. So usually around 2% body fat loss or a slightly below 2% per month of dieting. Regarding how good the life quality and how good hunger levels and how good training quality I actually had on my diet, I really can't complain on my fat burn rate or on my weight loss rate. So a quick recap on my hormones. So here you can get a rating from 1 to 6. So the thyroid hormone is maybe the one that I'm the least satisfied with. And it's maybe the hormone I was the most oblivious about. So by that I controlled it the least. And doing these amounts of cardio will likely impede the thyroid hormone. I can maybe also try to learn the science behind carb cycling or going up and down in carbs and maybe have some high days because I actually never did practice that. I actually ate lots of nutrients and protein, but I actually think my digestion system was never actually effective enough for example, metabolizing or utilizing 400 or 500 grams of carbs. I actually think it really slowed down, and I think the 300 grams of carbs or slightly below was maybe around the limit of what my body could handle. So I maybe need to have a more plan for keeping up the digestion system and do have strategies for actually keeping up the energy expenditure. I actually had planned rest weeks or planned periods of more rest and more like keeping my calorie amount at the same level but lowering my energy expenditure and my gym work. So I had to have days where I'm not in a calorie deficit but at next time it's maybe better to have some high carb days, which actually has been a tradition when I have been shredding in my old days 3 or 4 years ago, when I was more into heavy strength training. And what is my plan now? I think the best thing I could do is to keep my body weight around 80 kilograms, keep my level of body fat at around the same place I actually got to at the end of the dieting, but try to improve my digestion system and try to work on my thyroid and leptin levels, get them a little bit up, and get my body way better to utilize carbs for training. Because you can actually have a really good muscle building environment, or at least for sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, without really having a big focus on eating lots of carbs. But when you actually manage to utilize the glycogen better, you have the prerequisites for a fast metabolism, a better digestive system, and you, for example, have a body that is way better adapted to my fibrillar hypertrophy and heavier strength training, even though my main focus is to build mass now. So keep my calories at maintenance or at a slight calorie surplus, and maintain my body at a very healthy place. I actually think the place I'm now is a very good place to be. There's no need to yo-yo up and down, and I see no reason to actually be fatter than I'm now, and fatter to compare to where I got at the end of the diet. However, I think my metabolism kind of crashed down, and I got to a kind of a unhealthy place to lose more fat, because I actually lost more than 30 or 40% of my original body fat. So that's kind of a general rule for where you should stop on your fat loss. So for example, for me, I was around 15% body fat before my fat loss, and then it's not healthy or recommended to go below around 10. It's kind of the same thing for a person who is at 25% body fat. Go down to 15% body fat before you think about getting really shredded. If I keep my body fat where I'm now, I will have a really good prerequisite for actually getting down to the really shredded 6 or 7%, or the stage look both I and the club wanted. This is kind of a simplified body homeostasis rule and basic theory about where the body is happy and not. I think this is everything for today. Everything I want to say about my fat loss. A really quick recap of what I actually achieved and how I enjoyed the process. And how I actually managed to lose lots of fat and actually keeping a good relationship with both food and training and enjoy my lifestyle. And I think actually that is way more important than competing. It's late on the night now and I need to get to the bed. If you like this video, give it a like by pressing the thumbs up button below. Comment down below. What do you think about my fat loss? When are you going to shred down the next time? Are you going to do some strategies to try to control your hormones there? Subscribe to my channel and help me bring this channel to 1000 subs and 4000 hours of watch time so I can get monetized and actually live out of doing this shit. Thank you all for watching and see you in the next video.